Houston's hot mess of a podcast. A funny but thoughtful look at the LGBTQIA plus community.
Hey, welcome to another episode of That Little Gay Talk Show. I'm your host, Joel Tatum.
And I'm Wendy Taylor.
And we are in the midst of our Generations episodes. We talked to boomers the other day, and today we're sitting down with my generation, Gen X. And we're going to have a good time. Wendy, why don't you tell us who's on the show today?
All right. Today we have Kendra Walker, president of Pride Houston 365, as well as an amazing entrepreneur, brilliant businesswoman, and a good friend. We also have Silver Steele. Silver Steele is the biggest gay porn star that lives here in Houston. And y'all, he is just the sweetest, most beautiful, awesome person, and I'm so excited to have him on the show today. It's the first time he's been here, and I'm stoked.
I know, it's like it's a P&P episode with PP. We have Pride and Porn.
Yeah,
Pride and Porn on the show. This is interesting. This Gen X episode.
I think Kendra immediately regretted doing this interview.
Well, it was going to be the comedian, the porn star, and the Pride president, but the comedian couldn't make it.
That's right. Keisha's going to reschedule with us, so we will have Keisha on another day, and I'm excited to have her on the show too.
But it's just as exciting. I'm excited on both ends. I'm excited intellectually, and I'm excited in my pants. That's where I'm.
Oh, those
I feel like this is going to be a good day.
I was wondering because there's more than two ends.
Well, I had to clean up my computer screen because, the porn star was coming in. I don't want him to see a sticky, dirty computer screen. So I had to clean up my computer screen.
One of the things we do is we actually judge people. We're like, clean your mirror. This is not quality content.
Because honestly, I don't think many men I don't think we clean our computer screens. I really don't. I really don't think so.
Guilty. Right now, because I did not realize. I was like, why are they calling this grown man Silver Steele? Now that I know, it just makes so much sense. I'm like, okay.
And I know you've told this story on your Facebook page, but I want to know how you got your name.
Oh, okay. There's an event called Southern Decadence that happens in New Orleans every Labor Day weekend. And back in 2015, there was going to be a live sex show at one of the bars. And one of the big names there was someone that everybody knows. And his name is Rocco Steele.
Oh, yeah.
And I know. He's got
I know Rocco Steele very well. Very well.
So I go and
I don't know Rocco Steele.
Oh, it's an elephant trunk. It is an elephant trunk between his legs. Mm-hmm. So anyway, he was going at this bar both nights prior to the live show. Of course, I went and I fangirled and everything, and he took me into the back storeroom and fucked me. Mm-hmm. And I was like, if I ever do porn, I'm taking that man's last name. And then, lo and behold, 2 years later,
cursing on the podcast. Remember?
Oh yeah. No, I do remember. Yeah, the first time she was on, she was super worried about even cussing on here, and we're like, nah.
Okay.
The FCC don't have anything on us. No.
It's
an adult show. Okay, so you said you were going to take his last name,
and so that's where Steele came from. And then lo and behold, I started getting into porn about 2.5 years later. Well, the silver portion came from the fact that I've got 3 piercings, one in each nipple, and then I've got a Prince Albert in my dick. And the metal I usually wear is silver, and at the time I was bleached so blonde it was almost white, and it had kind of a silvery tint to it. And so that's where the name came from. Well,
gotcha.
And it was like, what about your hair now? And I was like, sweetie, look at the side of my head. I have grown plenty of my own silver. So the name still applies.
That's great.
His question is, what's the pay like?
Studio porn is not. It doesn't pay what it used to pay back in the day when there was DVDs and VHS and less internet porn. But because porn is so accessible now, and a lot of people can get it, pirate it, not pay for it. Studios can't pay what they used to pay. However, because of the advent of OnlyFans and Just for Fans and everything, and we can talk about this later, about how the landscape of everything has changed. Everybody can become their own studio and capitalize on digital income just so much differently than just getting a paycheck from a studio. People,
right?
Oh, well, don't you get paid a long term? There are no residuals.
Yeah,
you film, you get your check, and then that's it until your next film. So some people make a living off of it. I have a kind of expensive taste, and so I think of my portfolio income as supplemental to my big boy job that I have.
That's
my
right.
primary income.
Right.
Do you have an OnlyFans as well?
Yeah, I have an OnlyFans and a Just for Fans, and there are more sites like those are probably the big two, but there are other sites like that. Like you can monetize on Pornhub, and there's another site called Raw Fuck Club. You can monetize there. Even Twitter.
After this,
say what?
we should talk after. Okay, we got to feel my fourth business coming.
I don't see why not.
I know.
What?
I don't see why not.
We're themselves with my business anyway. I just might as well.
We are in, but listen, we are in the age where we are starting to become more sex positive as a society. It's slow, but we're starting to become a more sex positive
I feel
society.
like that sex workers are getting a little bit more respect than they used to. Finally getting a little bit more respect.
Instead of the weird thing, I always found this to be really weird, and I know it's based in puritanical beliefs. I know it is, but how are you going to sit there and say porn is bad when it's the number one search thing on the internet worldwide?
Right.
Not even worldwide. So, it's true. It's a study. Evangelical conferences have the hotels. That's when they get their highest paid. What is it?
When people do the pay-per-view.
Yeah, the pay-per-view. Yeah.
Oh my God,
they
that's
get their
hilarious.
Highest one, evangelical conferences.
That's hilarious.
Amazingly enough, the most requested porn, usually from evangelicals, black men. Black men. Can you believe that? Black men are the number one thing among evangelical men.
Why is it that they find things that they find taboo hot? Why is it taboo then? Everybody feels that way. Can we all just admit it and quit shaming each other, please?
Right.
Like, why is everything so taboo? Why can't, if they weren't so repressed, they wouldn't feel the need to hide things, and you wouldn't be getting in trouble for doing stupid shit, trying to hide who you are.
With black men, I think it's more of a fetishization thing. It's more of a fetish thing. Yeah, it's because the more it turns out, the more conservative they are, the more they, for some reason, they want black men, and that is. I've read all this stuff.
So confused.
You can't help but wonder if it's sort of like a chicken egg thing. What comes? Is it are they really into black men, or is it they're not supposed to be into black men, and that's why?
That's. I think that's.
It's not taboo.
They're oppressed.
Right. If it's not taboo anymore, then would they still be into?
They're just y'all quit oppressing yourselves and each other. Stop it. Just enjoy your kink. We're done with kink shaming too. We're over that. Just come out and be sexual we're mammals first and foremost. And like I said on the last episode, our brains still think we're eating berries in a cave. So, I mean, that was another point I wanted to get across last time was as we're talking about generational differences. In the beginning of the United States, post-Civil War, right, we're in the industrial era, one page of news was good for like a month of information. We have more information being shoved down our throats on an hourly basis than anybody in the past has ever had to absorb, accept, filter, any of those things. And we wonder why we have no attention span.
That's true.
We accept a year's worth of information in one day of scrolling. How are we supposed to manage all of that?
And then we also, say, "Oh, we're all ADD," and it's like, are we ADD, or are we just being given too much information?
We're overstimulated. We're overstimulated, and I know that well. I'm autistic as fuck, and I know exactly how it feels to get overwhelmed and burnt out and overstimulated and not being able to control what sensories are coming at you. You have no control over it, and you can't filter it out when you have a sensory processing disorder. So it becomes very overwhelming to do simple things, just like go to dinner. But especially now that we've had COVID and everybody kind of hermited for a year, and now like a whole nother situation's coming from that because they can't fill office spaces here in Houston.
Yeah, exactly.
Because everybody's moved to working at home.
Right, I'm a work from homer.
Yes. Yeah. So not only are we now not even going out to socialize in the workplace, but we are doing more with our brains at home in our safe spaces that are supposed to be taken away from those, that are separate, that we don't get a break from anymore. There's no break. It's constant stimuli all the time.
Right.
I'm just curious how we are all managing, because I am not managing.
I think it's in the human nature to want to know. That's the issue. Because let me tell you something. You can turn it off.
Yep.
You can turn it off.
I did.
But it's the human nature to want to know, and you have to evolve and parent yourself, and that's where humans fall. They don't know how to parent themselves. It's almost like a fat kid with cake. It's so good, I just can't turn it off. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can, but it's like your grandma said, you're not tired yet.
Yep.
People haven't disgusted you enough.
Yep.
When they disgust you enough, you'll be like, I'm watching good. Give me Andy Griffith and Mayberry because you're done with it.
Yes, when I dropped off social media, all y'all know because everybody was mad at me. I dropped off social media 3 years ago and kind of left the scene. And it was the happiest I have ever been. I peeked my head up for 2 seconds. I'm back on social media, and I am cursing the day when I wake up in the morning. Like, I'm so ready to just turn it all off. But, like, everything that you do in life is so connected to that. If you don't have it, you don't get to have all the other stuff.
So that's where you have boundaries. See,
balance.
Balance and boundaries.
Yep.
See, I am known for letting people know where they got me fucked up at. And therefore, you don't even want to come to my page. You don't want to come to my page. You don't even want to talk crazy because I'm going to talk crazy back.
Yep.
We're going to be two crazy talking motherfuckers.
Yes. And not only that, but you're on my page and so are my friends.
Don't come over here. Say it over there.
Yep. Yeah.
And once we learn to respect people's boundaries, and then when we don't, and they get blocked, now they got a bigger attitude.
Yep. Yeah.
Pick a struggle. Pick a struggle.
It's so true. Like, really,
you have to pick.
I used to want to comment and this and that, and then I'm like,
why?
Bless her. And then
that is something I have never done. If people are talking crap about me on their page, I'm not going to your page.
Right.
Like, I may talk crap about you on mine, but people feel so, like, enlightened they're going to come into my playground, and I'm like, you don't want to come over here. It's not going to end well.
I just don't understand why anybody's doing that anyway. Like, why do people feel the need to be ugly at all? If that person's not your thing, move along. Why are you so obsessed with me?
It's not them. It's really us. I can guarantee you, if you say it into a vacuum and nobody interacts with it, but comes that human need to want to know, what's tea, sis?
Right.
You can literally say, oh my God, it was touch and go there for a minute. And you could be talking about having diarrhea in the bathroom. It's because the need to know, what's tea, sis? What's tea?
Yeah.
And sometimes I want to, sometimes I just say crazy shit like, oh, fuck the community. I let the community in my house and the community fuck my husband. Oh. And everybody thought I was getting cheated on. I was like, that is from a movie, people. Did you not see Soul Food? Like, every now and then, I feel like you need to feed the people a little bullshit. Like, every now and then, feed the people a little bullshit, and that's how you know who's real or not.
I kind of love
goes around.
starting rumors about myself, just to see who's telling who what. So, because one of the things, a lot of generals did this to find out who were spies in their camps. What they did was they created 3 separate messages and sent them out with 3 different generals or whoever they had underneath them, captains, whatever. And whichever one of them, he told them, don't tell a soul. Whichever one of those got out, he knew who the rat was. So sometimes I will, if I think I have someone dishonest in my circle, make up a story.
I just fire everybody. The worst thing I ever did was try to chase down a lie. Because when I got to the bottom of it, everybody was lying. I said, you know what? Let me show y'all where y'all got me fucked up at. Because I was like, I ain't got to deal with none of y'all. So when you feel like, when you see yourself in that environment, I always say, look, now I'm on the thing of never explain. Never explain. I want you to believe it. In fact, I want you to believe it all. Because at the end of the day, what are you going to do about it?
Yep.
And when you want to do something about it, then come see me.
Yep.
Until then, let's all just...
Well, that was always my thing. Like, if you're not doing anything wrong, what are you scared of? But people make stuff up.
Social media has created a bunch of, they have taken it that fake it till you make it to another level.
Okay.
Like, I be saying booked and busy. I'm like, sis, you were booked to sell 3 hot dogs. Stop.
Okay. Why is everybody an entrepreneur? Why is suddenly everybody an entrepreneur?
Like, stop. But
suddenly everybody is an entrepreneur.
Either way, I'm like, but my thing is, you can see, we got eyes. Okay, if all of us are rich and don't have to work and we're just, blowing up everywhere, sis, where's your house? Sis, forget your house. The shocks on your car are about to fall. It's just amazing to me how many people are so easy to believe bullshit. Like, I mean, the most outrageous bullshit. And I sit there and I'm like, how to say, we different, sis. It's different over here. I'm like, that wig don't say that. Ooh. That wig don't say that. That wig say I am on the struggle bus, because I can guarantee you there is no way in hell I am making big bucks and one of my tooth is sitting out, front of the other, or one of the side tooth is missing, or my God, the wig. There's no hair left on it. Or there's no hair left on it. Like, it is pushed so far back. Or the wax that is permeating for your ears. Or the teeth. The teeth are rotting. The breath it's not there. Your body is doing everything but saying, I am living like that. But okay, I'm going to stop now.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Kendra Walker, the head of Houston Pride. Really, this is the head of our Houston Pride, y'all.
So for me, that's the difference between integrity and clout.
Yeah, okay, like common sense. It's just.
I don't do clout. Like, what is your track record? And not only that, but what are you doing now?
Exactly. For a long time.
Yes. How much?
Know them by their fruits.
Yes.
So let me ask the question, because everybody at this table is Gen X. Who are we really talking about here when we talk about? Who are we really talking about?
Well, listen,
because I don't think it's
it's everybody.
It's from the boomers on down. I'm gonna tell you now. What I found most of all is, which is really funny, is that Gen Z keeps it more real than the other.
I love Gen Z.
Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. They literally don't give a shit. Yep. Oh no, I ain't got no job, and I'm sitting here and I'm gonna eat this pizza, and I'll think about it in a minute. Like if you ask them anything, they tell you, and you're just like, I don't think I would have shared that. Yeah. But I find that millennials, Gen Z, and boomers, we had this standard that we were supposed to reach, and if you didn't reach it, instead of just being true to you and saying, I love me, guess what? This is where I am, we started trying to make it look easy. Like, when I first started my business, I rented a bug for the first 3 years. You could not catch me outside of a rental car that did not fit in half of a space. Because guess what? I'm just starting out.
Yeah.
But then you have these other people who are creating businesses and just like, oh, I'm this, I'm that. And you know you're not. Like, you know you're not. And so you influence other people. They get fooled and now they want to quit their jobs and just jump out there. And then they're wondering why, oh my God, why am I struggling? And this person's not struggling.
Yes,
you
they
both
are.
Yeah. You both are. They just hide it. Or they're like, for example.
Or they're leveraged to the hilt.
No, for example, I have the biggest example. I had I'm going to call him acquaintance, my ex-friend, who literally used to talk about everybody and how they were just, they're just around because they want money, da-da-da-da. But secretly was borrowing thousands of dollars from me.
Ooh.
And I'm like, and so I just used to look at them, I was like, who's crazy, me or you for giving it to you? Or
Oh.
do you not see yourself? Do you not see yourself?
Yeah.
Do you not see or hear yourself?
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, oh, yeah, that's when I realized it transcends generational, but it's because we have put so much pressure.
Yeah.
Pressure to achieve, the pressure to have this, and you must have it by this time.
It's very much a lot of keeping up with the Joneses.
It is.
It's all appearances. And I hate that. Like, I hate that. Mm-hmm. If everybody was honest, our standards would be more realistic.
It would. If everybody was honest, if married couples were to literally say, we argue, and sometimes I want to ask these couples, do you set up the camera before you start cuddling or after? Because how's the camera catching you cuddling and we just got up out of bed and look at us in the sun.
Who pressed play?
I mean, do you keep it going? Keep it going this up? Because like I always make the joke, because me and my partner, we're very transparent. I always say we'll be Barack and Michelle in the morning and Ike and Tina by night. And it is so true. Somebody said, oh, y'all are couple goals. No, the fuck we are not. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of love, but it's realism.
Yeah.
It's realism. And listen, if we are not seeing, we're not going to be in these Houston streets like that. We're going to keep that at the house.
Right.
But we'll tell you, and I'll tell you straight up, we ain't coming because we ain't getting along right now.
Yep.
You don't want us over there.
Yep.
Okay, well, this is very interesting because we are talking about honesty here, but at what point is honesty too much?
I don't think there is such a thing.
No, I do.
Oh.
I do. And I think that
when it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. Okay,
that I get.
Here right now. No need for me to tell y'all about my hemorrhoids. You know?
But yet,
there will be that person, right, who's in here, because we're not here talking about anus health right now. But if we were, then I could share.
I mean, I could say that we could probably.
I mean, we could. Not on this episode, though. We'll probably have another episode where we do talk about that. Yeah.
We need to find a proctologist.
Even though they lie about it, they want to feel connected.
Yeah.
And sometimes when they don't know how to feel connected, or they haven't found their tribe yet, and instead of waiting on their tribe, they create. They become something.
Fabricate.
For example,
I don't know. That's where I think that's where we're getting a little lost here. We're not talking about what we're talking about. The fact is that are we putting too much out there? When I talk about honesty in social media, are we putting too much out there?
They put a lot out there, but they're lying.
That's
they put a lot out there, but they're lying.
But in the situations, let me take, for example, a situation that came across TikTok not too long ago. A gentleman living in a storage unit decides that he is going to post about living in a storage unit. Now, living in a storage unit is illegal on so many levels. And yet he is posting consistently about living in, how to do it, how to get away with it, how to entertain yourself while you're living in a storage unit. What happens a week later? They catch him, kick him out.
Right.
Are we being too honest? Are we posting too much to the point that we are?
I have a question for you. Do you really believe he had nowhere to go? when they put him out of that storage unit, do you really believe he was sleeping on the street the next day? He has a cell phone. He has camera equipment.
Yep.
He has monetized his platform. Let me tell you, I would not be shocked if he did not go to the storage unit to shoot every day. Because it sells. It sells, and we want to know. Because a man living in a storage unit, this is good shit.
With his girlfriend, by the way. With his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Which is another subject.
Look how she was laying
which
on
is
the TV.
another thing.
Look how she was laying on TV. Look like she missed any meals. And he's very muscular. I don't believe he was running around the storage unit doing all that. I'm telling you, I have seen it so much. And it's crazy. I mean, think of all these couples. I mean, they literally will say their vows on Monday, and then next thing you know, broke up. I mean, love Keke Palmer. Love her. But sis was, really going hard for her man, and then literally out of nowhere, he's a woman beater. Oh, I believe it. But you were selling a different story.
Yeah.
So I do believe we put a lot out there. I don't think most of it's authentic. I think sometimes we do need to pull it back a little bit because nobody really asks you where you.
But that's my whole point is if people were actually honest, our expectations for each other would be more realistic. Quit fronting.
I think also, like for instance, my platform, if you talk to anybody, they're like, oh, Silver, he's super transparent about everything. And I like to talk about things that people are afraid to talk about, even though some people will look at my subject matter and be like, I could never talk about that. But I'm not doing it for shock value. Well, I think a lot of people will do stuff for shock value. Followers and stuff, but I'm an educator at my core. And one of the things I believe in is that a lot of times men and women are afraid to talk about their sexual health, especially with their primary care provider. So I talked about a procedure that I had done on my penis, and I actually recorded the procedure. My doctor let me record it and everything, and it was, and of course I had to sterilize it for Facebook, but then on Twitter I put like the whole thing, and the number of questions I got and people wanting to know about how the results were and everything, and it was like, oh my gosh. I thought people that want to know, but there are people that want to know.
We're genuinely curious, just like you were saying. We do want to know. We're curious beings.
People who are genuine sometimes, and don't get me wrong, there are some genuine people out there sharing their real life. And for those people who are genuine, sometimes it can go overboard. But is it really a such thing as going overboard if the target audience is if that's who you're trying to reach?
Right.
If you are a person who overshares and you have a lot of followers who love the overshare, what do I care about Kendra thinking, oh my God, you must be a complete idiot? Because I would I'm not who they're trying to reach. Because I would never. So I need to keep scrolling past that.
You just don't follow. Just okay.
So I don't ever think I don't ever think you can share too much as long as you're willing to take the heat. You only share too much if you're not willing to take the heat.
Right.
Like, count the cost.
And why are you sharing it? Why are you sharing it?
Count the cost of your decisions before you do it.
I just find that 99% of the time we're embarrassed about something. We feel like we're the only one this has happened to. And almost 99% of the time, 100 other people have been through the same exact thing. And we hide that from each other as opposed to embracing each other. And I just don't understand that. And the other thing, you were coming up to a really good point that I wanted to talk about as far as like digitization of society, basically, and it's that just because you don't like something doesn't mean you have to comment. In fact, if you do comment, you're going to see more of it because that's how the algorithm works.
Also be interested in.
Yes.
Didn't sign up for that.
Right. So just keep it to yourself. Why do you have to bring somebody else down if it doesn't affect you?
I would say, the only thing or the only time I feel like morally needing to say something is probably when it affects children, those with disability, those who cannot defend themselves. But grown, able-bodied people, if I do wade into something, it's gonna be because I have a moral conviction for the truth. But I'm just gonna state my case. I'm not going back and forth with you. One, I gotta go to work.
Right.
Now that's what I see these long paragraphs of people, and I'll tell a person real quick, look, clown, I'm done. Like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like, because when I feel like we are committed to not, and sometimes people have to understand, you weren't raised like me.
Right.
You weren't raised with the values that I have, and I think a lot of people get mad, and you have to start looking at things like, some things are right or wrong, right? Especially if you're infringing on someone's boundaries or that. Mm-hmm. But sometimes, guess what? I just don't fuck with people like you. Yep. At the end of the day, let me tell you something. If you're a person who loves to gossip, you're a person who loves to throw tea and shade, I just may feel, because it's not gonna be long before that tea and shade is gonna be thrown my way. So I just may not want to fuck with you.
That's exactly my thing.
And what's your tolerance for tea and shade? You may have a tolerance for a little bit, but if that's your whole platform, guess what? I had to really be honest with myself, and I don't want this to come out as very elitist. Mm-hmm. I had to be honest with myself this year. I don't like fucking with broke folks. I just don't. I feel like you will soon.
Well, that was the end of this conversation. I'm gonna get up and go home now.
I'm sorry.
Let me go catch my bus on home. It was nice talking to y'all.
I don't like it, and what I mean is financial, of course, but it is, how can I say?
It's a mindset.
Kind of like broke by choice.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You know you can't afford it. Mm-hmm. You know you're going to be on the soup line tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
But you do it anyway.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm all for people chasing their dreams, though, but that's your calling. That is not the people around you calling. So you can be like, oh, woe, it's me. I'm doing this. Why aren't people supporting me or this and that? No. We going to work every day. Mm-hmm. And if you want to get out there and be a rapper, okay. And if that causes you to sleep in your car, okay, because you can go get a 9-to-5 and still pursue that, but you would rather, bitches say people. So I just have come to the realization, I don't want to hang around people who can take care of their basic needs, but don't.
Do you think think that that's a...
And I used to. And I used to feel sorry for them. And then I had to look back at it and I was like, why aren't they taking care of their basic needs?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's not your responsibility. Like, you guys, you got to pull it back.
I get it.
I want people I can learn from.
Is that a product of social media? Is that a product of Gen X?
I would say for me, it was a product of my Christian parents. Like, literally, they would bring home every stray cat they found. And it was like you give till it hurts. And you're going to get it back from God. And I have changed my thoughts on this because I feel like, you might want to talk to God first, because sometimes you do some foolish stuff and you literally could have went out there, dug up a hole in the backyard, put your money in it, shit in it for all the good it did. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We really have to stop saying that we can make foolish decisions and that God is somehow going to bless us for being a clown and a fool. I don't believe that he does. I believe that he gave you discernment and that you had to use it. And that was a hard lesson. I had to take accountability for a lot of chaos around me that I caused. They're entitled because you keep giving it to them. You the fool.
Oh, I absolutely played the enabler many times.
Played the enabler, and I was like, and now I have to sit back and now there is it comes with conditions. I need to know why. How did we get here? And then once I get all the information, then I will take and now it's no longer no questions asked. I'm asking all the questions like, what you need it for? Let me call and verify. Show me the invoice. And how did you get here again? Oh, you had a car accident. Okay, can I see where you went to the car? Like, we need to be more. I'm not saying you need to give 25 questions to a homeless person on the street. Like, let's not go. But when you see the pattern And I think as Gen X, we were taught to share. Like a lot of Gen X, we were taught to share.
Yeah.
And I think community was very important, but I think boundaries really start coming along the way with millennials, and that's something I learned from them.
Yes.
Like boundaries.
Because
I love
let's be honest here. Let's talk about growing up. Let's talk about the fact of growing up.
Yeah,
when we're talking about boundaries now, let's talk about our younger years, our teenage years.
No, we were not.
We were not allowed to have them.
Yeah,
we were not allowed to have any.
No,
the creepy uncle that came over and told you you had to put on certain clothes because Uncle so and so was coming on,
and you had to hug him.
Yeah, and you had to hug
your own parents. I remember my mom, and I was 20-something. Going through my luggage, and she pulled out a pair of underwear, and she was like, "Kendra, you just might as well not have on none." And I said, "You sure is right," and I even put on another pair since. Because that we had very controlling parents, overbearing parents, and so I've learned that when you don't have those well-defined boundaries, and we're not talking about walls, right? Boundaries change depending on your knowledge of the situation.
Right.
The boundary with you today may not be my boundary tomorrow, and develop trust or whatever. But if your boundaries weren't respected, right? You think that's the way the world works.
Right.
And so, people walk up to you, they say anything, and you're like, okay, I'm supposed to respond with kindness.
Yep.
Yeah, no.
Do you think Gen X has changed when it comes to the idea of respect? Because we were taught that you respect all adults, period. Sir, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. But all adults were respected, period.
Gen X that has gone to therapy has a little difference depending on how close you are to the grave. It's depending on whether or not I'm a snap back at you when you're disrespecting me. You're 90, I might let you make it. Because look, we ain't gonna have to deal with you much longer. Let's just be real. But I've come across a couple of feisty 70-year-olds that, hey, you in good shape, nuck if you buck. Like, who are you talking to? Who are you talking to?
Yeah.
Who are you talking to?
Yeah.
Sir?
Yeah.
But
I mean, that's another thing that's pretty common about Gen X, though, is that we made up the term, like, fuck around and find out. Like we said, don't come for me unless I send for you, because the way we dealt with shit was face to face. We didn't have cell phones and Facebook until way later. We had MySpace.
Something.
So it was like,
let's talk about it from there are two gay men sitting at I'm assuming sexuality. That's another thing of Gen X. As me as a Gen Xer now having to respond to sexuality in a different way, to gender in a different way, which is hard for my reptile brain sometimes to wrap around, because there's still a part of my brain going, I don't care about your gender, you are whatever, blah, 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 blah. Please stop coming up with these complicated terms that now I have to figure out how to understand. That's reptile part of my brain.
Right.
But that's me still learning.
Right.
Trying to get over what happens to you when you get older, when you've had more life experience. You become a bit more conservative in the way that you think. You don't try to become conservative.
I've had this opposite reaction.
I think you become a bit more tired.
That I understand.
And this is what I mean. Honey, if you want to be half giraffe and half kangaroo, that is exactly what I'm going to call you. Because I don't give a fuck that much. Now, whether I grasp the concept or not, no, but I'm old enough to know that this is a lot of weird to me. And that doesn't mean it's weird. It's just different to us.
Right.
But this is where you kind of draw the line, right? You're weird to me. Guess what? You go on with your weird self.
That's the difference.
That's the difference.
That's the difference.
Because I'm not gonna sit and listen. I grasp the concept of a lot of gender identities and things of that nature, and I have a trans daughter who is cool as shit, and I'm like, yes, very supportive. Then I found somebody who said they were, I think, 60-40 or something like that.
So they're gender fluid?
Both in the same.
Non-binary?
They weren't none. They were divorcing of all genders.
Oh, okay.
Gender
A
queer
gender.
or agender?
Agender.
I guess that's what it is.
Agender.
But they also sometimes identify as 60% female, 40% male.
Oh, so you're talking about male presenting, female presenting.
Yeah, but meaning, okay, I guess that's gender fluid. One day I'm non-binary.
This is, ladies and gentlemen, this is a Gen X conversation right here. This is a true Gen X conversation right here.
I'm non-binary. The next day, same person, identify with no gender. And then some days I think I'm all three. That is literally what this girl said. And so a guy did a reaction video and said, now we're just being stupid. And that's the biggest crock of bullshit I ever heard of. I was a different thing. Like, I don't know how you go from being 3 to 9 to, but guess what? I don't have to understand it. Because I'm going to ask you this. What are you today? That's all I need to know.
It's just it's easy.
If you're today, then that's what I'm going to be, because I don't care.
It's easy to respect somebody's wishes.
Because it doesn't affect me.
Right. And that's my whole thing. I'm like, how does somebody want to dress and present as a different gender every day of their life affect me at all? How does that affect me?
It doesn't come back to the communication, because there's a lot of keyboard warriorism that I find with millennials, and I am pull up, and people consider that
Silver. You're gonna have to jump into this orgy here. You're gonna have to jump into this orgy, because you are being too quiet over there.
I'm sorry. I do feel like I don't have a good point to jump. There's no break.
When you said the fuck around and find out, I get so many emails, and my response, like, you emailing me and I'm calling you, but I'm calling you to see where you want to meet me at.
Yep.
Because you're not looking for answers. You think you're gonna regurgitate on me? No. Where you meeting me at? Like, let's. You really want to talk about it? And when you don't pick up the phone, or when you hide behind this email, or if you don't pull up, then I say, okay, you're really not about that life.
Right.
So then you become irrelevant to me, and whatever you emailing me becomes.
That's my whole thing. If you can't say it to my face, if you won't say it in a text the way you would say it to my face, we already have a problem.
Exactly. You're obviously bothered because you're the one who's initiating this change.
Right. So, I mean, for me, I'm always just like, if I hurt you, tell me. Do I come across as the kind of person that's like, yeah, I got that bitch? No.
Right.
I would never do that on purpose, and I'm going to feel horrible. I'm going to feel horrible if you will just tell me that I hurt you. How did I hurt you? How can I fix this? How can I make this better? But if you don't really approach this subject in the way that I want to fix the problem, then you're just trying to hurt the person that hurt you. And that's not productive. And it's not good. It's not good for anybody. All you're doing is spreading more hurt, more hate, more awfulness.
Well, I think a lot of people are scared to have that face-to-face is because you're going to find out something that you may not have been privy to, and it's going to change.
Yep.
You are okay being in the dark. And if that's the case, then just leave us out of it.
Yeah.
Like, we're okay with letting you be in the dark.
Yeah. Yeah, if you want to live in your little delulu, honey, may all your delulu come true, Lulu.
You built this world off of whatever you heard, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And we're okay to let you live there, but when you start, I guess, confronting and doing all this because you, without, like, is this going to be a dialogue or do you want a monologue? I'm not for the monologue. Don't send me 20 pages of bullshit. I don't want to. I'm not reading that. I'm gonna get past the first sentence and I'll be like, "You want to call me?" Like,
Yeah, well, this is an in-person conversation. You obviously have a lot you need to say, and I want to see your face. We say it.
No, but I think that's a different type of communication style from what I heard, from what I've experienced, even with millennials. I've had someone call me up and was like, you're a bitch. And I'm just like, girl, you want to pull up? Like, because I just said, I'm going to give you a couple of seconds to find your mind. And if you want to have a conversation after that, then let's do it.
I find it hilarious. I am sitting here listening, and I'm listening with intent ears. I'm sitting here listening to the way that we are discussing this whole subject. And the two things that are so Gen X that I keep hearing over and over and over again. Well, if you don't pick up the phone or if you don't email and blah, blah, blah. I didn't hear the word text come out of no one's mouth once. That's how Gen X this table is. I heard email, and if you don't pick up the phone and call, what millennial has ever called you unless it's an emergency? What Gen Zer has ever picked up the phone to call you unless it's something?
And that's where I'm a total xenial, because I'm like, why did you call me?
So when I'm sitting here listening to you, well, you didn't send it in an email, and you didn't pick up the phone. I did not once hear the words.
I don't want you to send it in an email.
No.
I did not want. So you understand that the language of. You understand the language of Gen X.
I think Gen Z is more of the text, because they text these full-on paragraphs. I think
Gen Z understands texting better than millennials, but millennials are texters.
Millennials are texters for sure.
Millennials are texters for sure.
Millennials are only texters. In my cases, from when I deal with them, they're avoidance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Meaning, if everything's all good and dory, they want to keep you on the phone for hours. And I'm Gen Z. I ain't got this type of time. I mean, we are not in high school. I need to get off the phone. I don't want to talk to you for 3 hours.
Oh, I can't stand it. Oh, I can't stand it.
Let there be an issue or conflict. Millennials now want to text. And that has been my experience with every millennial that there was ever conflict with. Why we in text now?
Right.
Sit on the phone with me for 3 hours.
Right.
If you don't get your regular ass on the phone, drive up over here, because what are we texting for? I'm not doing
So my whole thing is when it comes to, there's context, right? Like, it's all about context. And specifically as somebody who is autistic, when I read something in black and white, let me tell you how very logical all of that is. Okay, so if you mean something else, you better tell me what you mean.
I can't even send a Gen Xer a simple text without a Gen Xer losing their shit over a simple text. And it's like, Joel, why did you text it that way? What do you mean? All I said was this, and this.
Oh, God forbid you just text me.
And they're like,
people with anxiety are like, what does that mean?
Right.
Do you hate me? Are you mad at me?
Exactly.
No?
And even I'm like, wait a minute. Are you mad at me? What's going on?
I always get one.
Hopefully it's just a couple of sentences. I think text is bring bread.
Yeah. Don't forget to pick up the kid on the way home. It's your day.
You gonna have my money.
You are. Who owes you money, girl? Because you are so wrapped up in people owing you, girl.
I'm out of the lending business. I have divorced it. I was so proud of myself. A couple of people asked me this year, and
how are you running 4 businesses if you giving money away, girl?
Easy.
Goodness. Okay, so I do want to talk about some of the fun stuff. Like we talked about.
You know what? Before we get into that, let's take a quick break. Let everybody catch their breath.
All right.
We're gonna take a quick break. Everybody catch their breath and that kind of thing. No, we're not. You are here.
It is raw and uncut.
You're as raw, uncut. This is Gen X. We are raw and uncut. So let it go. If you were
Gen X, we've been cut.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, yeah.
We've been chopped up.
Yeah, we've been chopped up. So we're gonna take a little bit of a break, and we are going to be right back. Everybody, go do your thing.
Yay. Okay.
And we are back.
Dun, 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 dun.
Dun, 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 dun. We're back with Silver Steele and Kendra Walker.
We are an angry generation.
Well, that's because people keep fucking with us.
I think Gen X is very fun. Listen, here's the thing. Millennials and Gen Z actually love hanging with me. It's only when it gets down to the foolishness. Hang with us for the fun, but when you start it with the foolishness, that's where we got to leave you. So I think Gen Z are some of the most fun people. Why? You want to know why? We can buy our own rounds in the club. We got good health insurance. We've I don't know. Gen X, we were raised to be ultrally independent.
Yes.
Very independent. I mean, our parents were not scared of us burning down the house at 5. You leave a 5-year-old in the house now.
Forget it.
You might be going to jail.
Yeah, forget it.
But, we fixed our own cereal. Mama said, look, you come in the house, you're going to sit right here. And don't you move off the couch. So you sit there with your coloring book, your homework, and you wait till I get home. I mean, we're the generation. Well, I don't know about y'all, but maybe we could get our
honestly,
15, so.
There was always somebody at home. I wasn't really super latchkey. There was always somebody at home. So me
my brothers and
having to. There was always a parent in the house.
I had a parent at home always too, but I was so involved in everything. Like every day after school, I had something. I was in dance. I was in every sport, and I was expected to be the best at all of these things. I had lots of, I went through it. I showed my boyfriend the first 16 years of my life in a book and all of the awards that I won for math, science, English, spelling bees. No, I'm the baby.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm the baby.
Speaking of which, who is anyone here the oldest?
Oh, me. Yeah.
Me too.
I'm the oldest.
Yeah, so we.
You're the baby too. I'm a baby too.
Yeah, because for the oldest child in Gen X, we had to raise everybody.
You did.
Oh, I never saw my sister.
I had to raise.
I never saw her.
Not only that, but then I'm sure you felt the same thing where you got disciplined for the tiniest thing, but then your little siblings got away with murder because by that time the parents are like, oh, pick your battles. And I'm like, hey,
Or you should know better. You should know better. Like, really? I'm still a kid here.
My sister got disciplined.
I think that there's I think that there's some resentment. I think for me there is a little bit of resentment when it comes to how I was raised as the oldest child because I didn't have a childhood.
Right.
I honestly did not have a childhood. I had to raise everybody.
No, I didn't have quite that experience.
Yeah, I had to raise, but
as far
my
as
parents were.
I was proud because it was parents for the first one, especially, they parent out of fear because don't mess this up.
Yeah, that's true.
At the same time, I'm very happy with who I am now. Would I be the same person if I was parented differently? I try not to spend too much time being resentful.
I always say the biggest thing I've always come to is that I know that my parents did the best that they could with what they knew. I know that they did. And for any mistakes that we made together in our relationship, it's easy for me to forgive them because I know that they really did the best that they could. And I think they did a pretty good job.
I would love to say.
I like me.
I wish I could say that, but my parents.
Yeah.
My parents were very controlling and strict, but I will say this. They probably made a lot of mistakes, but I will say this. I love that because I graduated high school at 15. I graduated college at 19. And a lot of things I don't think I would have been able to do or accomplish had I not had the fear of God in me. Not that I don't think they could have accomplished it a different way.
Yeah.
But it's just that it kept, I see how some of my peers turned out, and so it kept me from a lot of stupidity.
I see, and that's something that I have noticed that with most people in our generation, we had very clear boundaries from our parents. Yes. We knew exactly what we could and could not do and why.
But I Our parents just didn't let us have boundaries of any autonomy.
Correct.
Like
we were property.
if they want to take the door off, they're gonna take the door off.
Yep.
And some of it can be a little just, especially as a young woman, when you're unsure of your body and you're growing up, you start to want privacy. Not that you're doing anything, but it's automatically viewed with suspicion.
Yeah.
You're never given the benefit of the doubt. It's automatically that you're going, like, I was quiet. I know, hard to believe, hush, once upon a time. But I always got, I guess, more rules because everyone would say, oh, she's too quiet. She's going to be the one. And I'm like, I'm up in here reading the book. Leave me alone. Like, what are we doing here?
I think it's just something interesting, and you hit it on the head when you were talking about a lot of them parented out of fear.
Right.
They parented from a place of authoritarianism.
Right.
And I had that with my dad. My dad was very authoritarian. And I remember now, granted, I don't think any other parents could have survived me as a kid. I thought I was 10 foot tall and bulletproof and got away with everything because of the audacity that I had. I just had the sheer audacity to say, I feel like doing this, I'm going to go do it. Whereas other people were like, wouldn't it be funny if we did this? Let's just talk about it and giggle in the corner and be quiet. I'd be like, not fine. I will steal the biggest coach's hat and make him chase me to get it back and hold it under the rain drain. Yes, I did that. And my poor dad, I don't even remember how old I was, 4, 5. I spit in his face.
Wow.
I spit in his face. Now, I did not know that was wrong. I'd never done this before. It had never come up. I thought it was funny. And I spit, I think 4, 5, and I spit in his face. And he said, we were in a boat. We were drawing skiers behind us. Okay, we had people behind us skiing, and he said, "If you do that again, I'm going to throw you out of the boat." And me being who I am, I said, "Oh yeah."
Let me test you.
I did, and he picked me up by the back of my jacket right after the skier dropped when we were going 20 miles an hour and threw me out of the boat.
You're 4 years old.
And my eyes wore.
I thought you were going to tell me you were 15.
No. And I got back. No, listen. But listen. This is the kind of kid I was. I got back in the boat and said, do it again.
That was fun.
I said, do it again.
She's one of those, did I die?
And I was like, whoo, it scared me at the moment, but now I know it was fun. So let's do it again. But I will tell you, I never spit in his face again.
Right.
You know, there are 4 different types of parents at this table right now, because my experience, I had parents who, after many, many therapy sessions, should never have had children. Never should have had children. Never, ever, ever should have had children. They were products of their generation. They got married because they were told to. Mm-hmm. They had kids because they were told to. Mm-hmm. And my parents were horrific parents. They should never have had kids. Yeah. And yet, Mom never got, once my parents got divorced, Mom never got remarried. Dad married everyone. He married everyone, and he married everyone. Now, there were no terms for this back then. Yeah. But now there are. And now when I watch millennials talk about it, when I watch Gen Z talk about it, my father is grade A narcissist. Grade A narcissist. Never even knew what the term meant until we started talking about it, until mental health started to be a thing.
Do you feel like that term is overused?
Yes, God.
Not in this case, no.
No, not in your case.
No, not in this case. Is it overused? Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
See, but
a lot of mental health terms are overused.
What you wanted me to do?
Here's the thing that we have now, though. This is a totally new problem with these generations. Since mental health care has become more mainstream and less stigmatized, now we're using psychology talk to hurt people.
Yeah, exactly.
So that people can actually, I didn't know this was a thing, but I realized it was, they can actually use therapy to manipulate.
Yes.
They can use depression to manipulate.
Yes.
They can use this. oh my God, I struggle with rejection. And they lay that on you, and that's a tip to get you to say yes to just about any damn thing.
Yes.
Or depressed. I remember one person texted me one time, well, maybe I should have just killed myself. And in that moment when I realized I was being manipulated, I wanted to say, well, maybe the fuck you should.
I know, it's hard not to want to bite back.
Because it's like, come on, like...
It's hard not to want to bite back when it comes to that kind of stuff. But my whole thing with that, when it comes to mental health, to really truly be healthy, you have to understand that your mental health is your responsibility. Mm-hmm. It is not your partner's responsibility. Now, yes, we do need help sometimes, and we rely on our friends and family and our circles and our community to help us. But it is your responsibility, one, to know when you need help.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And two, not to get stuck there. You can't get stuck there. Just because you have this issue doesn't mean you can just say, oh, well, I have this issue, so you deal with it.
Or
no.
When just like high blood pressure, you need to take your medicine or you're going to stroke out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So mental health is no different. If the doctor has prescribed these and every time you get to feeling better, you stop and then you fall back into the pit. And you repeat this cycle over and over again for some years. It seems
that
like somewhere along the way you're gonna...
That one's extremely common for people with mental health, because I struggled with that because I did not want to accept that I was ill forever. I did not want to accept that I had to take a pill to function every day for the rest of my life. And not only that, but especially since I've been going to see therapists since I was 7, 8, 9. Mm-hmm. I've been on so many different cocktails of drugs. Now, there's lawsuits against them for putting them kids on drugs that I was on. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of differences when it comes to that. The shame that comes with that is really, really hard. But if you don't accept responsibility, girl, I'm all about that life.
Everyone should just smoke marijuana.
Please.
You'll be happier for it. You'll enjoy life more.
Mm-hmm. Please. And if you don't want to ruin your lungs, eat it. Just eat it.
Team mushrooms.
Oh, yeah, a microdose. My God.
Yeah, right?
You're like, if you get nothing else from the podcast today, go get high. No, joke.
That'll solve all your problems.
At least you won't give a fuck about it anymore.
I have a question about I'm curious because in my mind, one thing that seems like it might be different for each one of the generations you're going to talk about, and I think it's got to be so distinctly different because as I escort, a lot of my clients are the boomer generation. Mm-hmm. Because, when you're older as a gay male in the community, we place so much value on sexual marketability.
Yes.
Until you're not.
Yes.
And
yes.
So, it doesn't matter if you're coupled, single, whatever, when you go out, you always have to be on and present and all that stuff. Well, and it just gets harder when you're older. So a lot of my clients are men of a certain age, and they will tell me the most interesting stories about how they just recently came out, and they're like, 65 or something like that, And so I'm thinking a lot of times their coming out stories are all about coming out later in life after they've been divorced.
Mm-hmm. We did touch on this.
Right. Gen X, I feel like their coming out stories are all different. And then you talk to Gen Z, they're like, oh, honey, I was going to elementary school in heels, And so
exactly.
The climate has been different for everybody. So everybody's coming out stories. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't have a coming out story. I came out of my mama,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
And I'm like, well, good for you.
That is a really, really big difference, especially within the queer community, because when we did talk to during the Boomer episode, it was absolutely more common for more of them to have been married and had kids before they came out.
Exactly.
And my generation, our generation,
it's high school.
It's a little sooner. They came out a little sooner, but we also got our asses kicked every day and had no support structure or anywhere to go except for the bars, right?
It wasn't quite as bad, but I think going back to parenting, because a lot of times you can't come out because of what parents put on you. For me, it was the parental boundaries, where they can take down the door, just whatever. It's because of those lack of boundaries. My mom goes and picks up my lingerie room, sees a note on the floor. Oh, I'm going to entitle myself to read this note on the floor, and dun, 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 calls my friends.
It's
God. It's like, well, honey, you asked for it,
Ironically, my parents were asking me if I was gay at 12. They were asking, yes, they were having the conversation.
Never got asked.
And
Parents who were not parents were suddenly asking me at 12, 13, 14, all the way up to 18, if you're gay, we're okay with it. Up to a certain point, as long as I was, this is my father.
Sex, right?
No, this is my father. As long as you're not a bottom.
No.
I don't care.
No.
To which this, and I've had this conversation so many times, to which this day I still don't understand.
Bottom shaming from a parent.
How in 1980 something do you know the difference between being a top and a bottom? And I didn't know the difference.
Right.
So, and like, no, I had a very different experience than most people in my generation. Like, my sister came out first.
Oh,
and she came out like this. Hey, Mom and Dad, do you want to be my girlfriend? And they went, okay. And that was it. And but I grew up with an Aunt Suzanne and Uncle Julie, which is a running joke. We know she's not offended. She made it up. Okay. Like, so don't get mad at me for misgendering my aunt. Okay. We call them Aunt Suzanne and Uncle Julie. Okay. And it was just normal. It wasn't, nobody talked about it. Nobody made a thing about it, which is how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And in fact, the first experience I had meeting a gay man was HIV positive, and that wasn't stigmatized, and that wasn't. So I had a totally different experience.
That's pretty beautiful.
And so when I decided that maybe I was questioning my sexuality, and I was like, maybe I am, maybe I'm not, maybe I'm both, I don't know. Yeah. Forget the gender thing. Non-binary was not a word.
Right.
It did not exist. Androgyny was a word.
Androgynous, yes.
I think gender fluid was a term, but it wasn't popular.
No, it wasn't popular.
And I had to deal with a lot of different things because of my gender growing up. And it wasn't from my family unit, it was from my community. Because I was the first girl in the region to play football for the school.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it was not a pleasant experience for me. I was sexually assaulted. I was harassed regularly. And let me tell you, the kids were bad. The parents were worse. And I did have some supporters, but they weren't loud about it. And, my favorite, but my mom was always so proud of the way that I handled it. Like, I remember there was one boy who came up to me and I'm sitting there watching a basketball game, just minding my own business. Kid's over there hanging with his friends, and they're giggling, pointing at me, and he comes over and says, hey, do you have a penis? And I looked at him and said, do you? I was so appalled that he would even say that, and I'm just kind of like, you show me yours, I'll show you mine. And he just ran away. And then I went and told my mom what he said, and she was sitting right next to his mother.
Oh, lovely.
And she was appalled and embarrassed by his behavior, which made me feel better. But for the most part, it was like, even during practice, I'd go out, you're in a shimmer and shorts, right? You're doing drills, whatever. Then you have to suit up. You got to put on your pads and everything.
Gear, right.
Yeah, you got to gear up, and you go out on the field, and we're doing 3-point stance drills, and every single time they came up right into my tits. A whole line of them.
You brought up a good point when you said you had support, but it wasn't loud. I don't know if it's a Gen Z thing. I found that they are more willing to speak up when they're gonna speak up. I find with our generation, it's kind of crazy that people feel like they're doing you a favor. I defended you. I'm like, I don't want you to defend me. I want you to defend the truth.
Yes.
Like, either you're defending the truth or you're not.
Yes.
And I find that just crazy, but I also find a difference. I wanted to bring back something, the work ethic of Gen X and millennials and Gen Z. That is the one big difference that I see for the most part.
Oh, I think we're going to argue about this.
I feel like Gen X is going to go to work. That's just what I feel like.
And I think because of that, Gen X got screwed so hard. I'm sorry, but I really think that I think we were screwed. Yeah.
But
we got screwed. We got screwed harder than anybody else.
Look at Gen Z, they are okay with the gig life. They are okay with not knowing where their next meal is going to come from, if they're going to pay the car note. Like, it is really a carefree life, and I don't understand.
Oh, I do. It's because they see that the system's stacked against them and nobody's doing anything to fix it, so why bother?
And I guess
it's true.
For some of us, especially in my case, this system actually worked.
Yeah.
Like, I actually went every day, 9 to 5, saved, paid off the house, and it actually worked.
Yep.
And I get it. Some people got screwed because it doesn't work like that for everybody. So then, but when I look at this, I'm like, okay, if you're going to choose that life, then you cannot complain or want the luxuries that come with, actually preparing for tomorrow.
I don't think that they don't have a problem with working if luxury is what they want. I don't think they have a problem with that.
Right.
I think they have a problem with working when it's
for attaining nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
When they attain nothing
they're
from
working
it.
3-4 jobs and can't
when you're
even
working,
pay for their rent.
you went to college, you can't afford to pay. You went to college. Your parents told you to go to college. You're only going to get a job if you go to college. You went to college. Now you're out here working at Starbucks,
drowning in student loans,
paying your student loans.
Very clear.
Hold on, let me finish. Paying your student loans and everything else, and you're working these crappy ass jobs, and you're realizing, wait a minute, why am I doing this? I was told that once I got an education, I didn't have to work this hard anymore. Blah 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 blah. Now they're disillusioned. That's the thing that's
a big
their
part
disillusionment is loud and proud.
Yep.
They are disillusioned.
I think we were too soft on them. And let me tell you why. You had artists going to a college that was $80,000. That is the most dumbest thing I ever heard in America. You had teachers. Look at the look at the field that you're trying to go into, and look at the annual salary of that field.
Yep.
Most of that you could have got at junior college. You chose, like a lot of them have this fantasy in their mind. I'm going to go to this school, and there was nothing you could say to get them out of that school, and so they borrowed all this money, knowing that you're picking a career that will never be
pay
able
for
to
it.
back,
yep.
But until you get your big break. So now I do believe some of them got screwed. Some of them did, but some of them, I just feel like it was pipe dreams. Like you weren't realistic. You could have literally got your teaching.
I think the biggest difference is that expectations have changed, and the dream that they sold was not the dream that we got.
Yep.
It's different. Like it, and it is when we talk to.
You paid $75,000 for a teaching degree. You overpaid.
Yes.
You could have went to junior college. You could have went to state college.
Yes.
And yet we need teachers. We need doctors. We need this. We need that. We can't sit up here and criticize and say, well, you shouldn't have gone into that career. But then we still need these people to do this stuff.
I should have been a teacher. I should have been a teacher.
I am saying let your budget fit the job.
Act your wage. Who was that said that? Dude, act your wage.
Act your wage, because I have seen these kids, even having kids now. I want to go to Notre Dame. I want to go to this. Okay, what are you planning on doing? And when you hear, go to state college. What is wrong with state college? I'm going to tell you what my dad told me. He was like, he went to Jackson State. He was able to raise a beautiful family. Nothing wrong with state college. Nothing wrong with state college.
Nope. But we're sold this like dream, right? We're sold this
but
dream.
at the same time, when you think about boomers were not pushed into college. You finished high school, you got a good job, you started in the mailroom, you worked your way up.
Yes.
College was not pushed that hard on boomers.
Nowadays, you look at job listings and they said they want a master's degree for an entry-level position paying $26,000 a year.
Are you serious?
Crazy? Because my dad and mom were pushed in college. Like, they met in college. And my great aunt, which I did not know, had a PhD, but her brother, which was my grandfather, worked in the laundromat.
Yep.
And still worked in laundromat until he retired, but still was able to buy a house because we were taught to prepare. I guess it's the preparation.
Well,
I think we should talk about attainable dreams, because
exactly.
At a certain time you could have an entry-level job or just teacher and actually be able to afford a home.
Exactly.
Have you looked at real estate prices?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not just apartment prices. It's a fucking joke. No one can get approved for that kind of loan unless you're already making those big bucks. For example, I bought our house in Edo, it's a townhouse, $250,000, right next to downtown. I was like, woohoo, we bought pre-construction. Now if we sold it, we make a shit ton.
Yes.
But then we like living inside the loop, and we looked at the prices, we're like, oh hell.
We can't move anywhere.
Right.
Yeah, we can't move.
Right.
And growing up, when I was attending college in the 80s and 90s, I could afford to get an apartment in Montrose, go to school, have a life. And when I look at these kids, now who they're working 3 or 4 jobs
and have the same minimum wage
and
exactly 10 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah. And there's a balance there because times have changed.
Yes.
So your dreams also
need to adjust.
You can't live in the high rise down at Town and Country.
Yep.
You need to move further outside of the loop.
Yep.
You need to buy, what is that? The look Fiat? You need to buy the look Fiat.
Yes.
Because times have changed. You can't afford as much car for your money. And I guess that's my thing. Yeah, you got screwed, but are you going to continually complain about it, or are you going to adjust? Because I see people working these 3 jobs, but I also see them somehow they afford to go to Miami. And I don't want to take away your pleasure, because you need that. You need that release. But come on.
Probably the same way I traveled to South America. Probably the same way I traveled to the islands. I saved my money and I bought cheap tickets. I worked at hotels in resorts sometimes. But I did the things that I need to do.
I don't see the millennials by far and large, in large masses, willing to do that.
Oh, I do.
I do.
I do. They're all struggling so bad. Like they're working 3 jobs, trying to go to school, and they can't even afford to eat every week. Like it's crazy.
You look at how many, I'm going to plug my own industry here, are now, because of sex positivity, they're now totally fine creating just for fans and OnlyFans. And like, you know what, I'll get in front of a camera and do the damn thing. But there'll be like flight attendants that are like, I'm scared I'm going to lose my job. And I'm like, goddamn job, let them do their fucking OnlyFans and just for fans so they can make the money to get what it is they want to do.
If you're not going to change the system, let us adapt.
Right, thank you.
I think I may be surrounded by too many dreamers, because I don't know a millennial that's working 2 and 3 jobs. They are living their best life.
Oh, God.
And they are trying to either be an influencer, produce movies, do this, do that. And it's GoFundMe city.
Yeah.
I mean, my God, if I see another GoFundMe, I'm like, really?
Because
they don't hold the 9 to 5.
Because this economy has taught us to hustle. Yep. We are now living. We don't call it survival anymore. It is hustle culture. We have learned that if we can't get it from 9 to 5, we're going to figure out another way to get it.
Yep.
And these millennials and kids are good at finding hustles. Whatever they need to do to go to Miami, whatever they need to do to have the nice things, they are going to hustle. If they can't get it from 9 to 5, they're going to figure out another way to do it.
Uber drivers.
That's why they're that's why they're influencers. That's why they're doing OnlyFans. That's why they're
to support the Uber driver in their GoFundMe than a person who literally has no 9 to 5. And being a creative is their only thing. And that's what I say. Maybe it's because of the I need better circles, because these people, they're not working 3 jobs. They're not even working 1.
There's so many of these kids that are out there, especially like just in the drag community alone. Most of the drag queens and kings that I know have a regular 9 to 5. They have their drag career, and they have a side hustle that they're doing. So they have some kind of job that they're doing out. So that's 3 jobs.
To support the one thing they want to do more than anything else.
I understand why I said I can't deal with those certain people don't work. Just because seeing that makes sense to me. I would be disillusioned. I would be pissed off. But what I see is literally, there is no 9 to 5. I go shoot. I'm a good photographer, right? And even though I may not be getting booked every day, I want to do photography because I have a passion.
Right.
So I go do a photography gig, and then I'm starving the rest of the month.
Yeah.
Sis, you ain't made it yet. Go get your 9 to 5. It's okay.
Until you get to that point. Yes.
And that's the kind of millennials that I keep running into.
So, and I kind of had that mindset, like, for example, my life does not follow a normal track, okay? Because I can't do anything like other people. I don't know what's wrong with me. You have to hit me upside the head with a 2x4 to get the point across. I have to learn everything the hard way. And I knew from the day I came out of my mother's womb, I was going to be a singer. I knew it. I knew it. I worked my ass off. Voice lessons, choirs, writing workshops, doing this, getting in the studio. I think I recorded my first record when I was like 11. So like I was already doing 2 jobs, going to school full time, working that. Plus I was doing dance. Plus I was doing all the sports. Plus I was doing all of my athletics and academics. And so I got used to that. I got used to that kind of life. And I had already gotten good enough by the time I was out of high school. I was already making money as a singer. I already had a job that I had been training for 15 years to get there. And I still had a long way to go. So what I decided was, okay, yes, I want to be a singer, but I am going to go to college because you need a backup plan, right? Well, I'm still in college. I'll be in college until I'm 70 because it turns out college is my thing. I love school. I love school. I'm working on my 3rd degree that has nothing to do with the other 2 that have nothing to do with each other either. Okay. Because I just like it. And music has supported me to be able to go to school. So like my backup plan turned out to be my hobby, and my main job was my dream. Now the problem was I made it to the national level, and I found out I hated it. I worked literally my entire life. I gave up so much of my childhood to go towards this dream, and I got there and I hated it.
This sucks.
I hated it. So there I am after spending my entire life putting towards something that I was told was impossible, and I actually achieved it. And I hated it. I hated it. And it made me terrified to try anything else because I don't know how to do anything halfway.
But did you hate it or did you outgrow it?
No, I hated it.
Because
I hated everything that came with it. I love music. I found this out because after I retired, I was really, really like stuck in a place that, is it because I hate music? Is it because I hate the business? Is it because of people? And let me tell you, it's people. People have ruined my dream. Absolutely wrecked it because it's the people in the business, right? So just for example, Nigel Lithgow on American Idol. I still believe to this day that the reason that I was let go was because the night before we went to the live auditions, the night before we went to the live shows where the public got to judge, one of the producers came down and told me that Nigel does not like nose rings and wants me to take mine out. And I very impolitely told them to go fuck themselves. I like my nose ring. This is my body, and you're not going to start changing who I am. You liked me all the way up to this point, but now all of a sudden you want to start seeing if you can control me. I'm not doing this.
It's very millennial of you.
I'm not doing this.
Because Gen Z, we would have popped that nose ring out. And we were definitely a bit of, how can I say?
Gen X.
Gen X, yeah. We're definitely a bit of conformist to a certain degree.
I have never been.
No. It's messed me. I'm on the back end of Gen X because I was a millennial.
I have never
a very
been.
strong sense of self.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's not that we don't have a strong sense of self. I think with Gen X, we more have a strong sense of survival.
Yeah.
At least that's in the circle that I grew up with. We have a very strong sense of survival. Yeah. And we will not do anything that may have us on the breadline tomorrow.
Oh, well, see, but I had already I'd already sold 10,000 copies of my album out of the back of my car before I ever made it to that point.
You have a backup plan.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and that's one of the things I kept trying to explain to all of these young kids. Because when I went on Idol, I was at the end of the spectrum on age. Okay, I was 29. That's the cutoff. Okay, I couldn't. All of the other contestants I was in there with, they were kids, man. They were kids, and they had no idea that there were other avenues to making it in this business. They thought this was their only chance. They're 16 and they're like already given up because their dreams were dashed by a reality TV show.
Right.
You know, because they think that that's the only way people make it nowadays. And I just kept telling them, I'm like, y'all, are so talented. You have such a bright future ahead of you. Just because these people don't want you doesn't mean other people won't.
Oh, the ones that didn't win ended up being the most successful.
Exactly.
Besides Kelly, but like,
we love Kelly.
Yeah, we love Kelly.
We love Kelly. But I'm like, it's not the be all end all. In fact, this no may be the thing you needed to get the next yes. The problem that I had with the whole process in that was that they didn't give you critiques. They either said yes or no. They didn't tell you why they didn't pick you. They didn't say, hey, they didn't owe you an explanation. They just said no. So a lot of these kids that have never been through a process of like going through auditions and haven't been told no 100 times before and realize that it's their opinion has no bearing on your ability or your value. They connected the two. So when they got that no, they heard no across the ages. And I'm like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. No. You only need one yes. Right. You're going to get 10,000 no's. You only need one yes. Sometimes you got to be your own yes. So, like I felt like my whole purpose on that show was just to tell the kids that were on there that they're going to be okay. That they're going to be okay. And that there's other options out there. And not only that, but the music business is a big business. You don't have to be the front man. There are so many jobs in this business. If you love music and you can't sing or play an instrument, we have a job for you. You go follow your dreams, people, but just make it happen responsibly.
Right.
and I think, being that I'm the oldest Gen X at this table, and listening to Kendra, I realized something. Listening to Kendra and myself, we're both Black, so we have slight cultural differences in the way that we grew up. The fact that her parents went to college. By the way, when I made the analogy, when I said earlier that for most boomers they had to graduate, they graduated high school, they went to work, blah 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 blah. That was not necessarily the case for Black people. Black people were like, you have to go to college.
Yeah.
You have to go to college. You will not make it out in the world if you do not go. That's always been something that Black people have pushed on their kids. You have to go to college. So with that, Kendra had a good parenting system that taught her how to be a go-getter, that taught her how to be an entrepreneur. I grew up with survival.
Right.
And
that's exhausting.
That's two different things, and it's exhausting.
There's a whole big difference between being scared every day and being motivated.
Yeah, exactly.
Huge difference. It's still hard on your adrenals either way. But
and, it's hard to bring it up sometimes because we're in this age where I don't want to come off sounding like a victim, because the moment that you go there, then people are like, But the fact of the matter is, I am literally just describing. And by the way, my parents were well off. We were not. We lived in the suburbs. My parents were well off. They were just horrible parents. They were just terrible parents. But the fact of the matter is, she grew up with motivation, motivation with being a go-getter. And as a Black woman, that's wow.
That's that's
a powerful resource to have. But on this end, it was, you just have to survive. You just have to survive. And it wasn't until my 50s that I'm like, wait a minute, I'm tired of just wanting to survive. I want to thrive. I want to do the thing. I gave up a writing career. I gave up a lot because, one, I was not emotionally and mentally ready to do all of that. I was going through alcohol abuse. I was going through all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So we were not ready to even think about it. But now life is a little bit different. I'm enjoying myself a little bit more. I am coming into contact with my feelings and emotions as a man. First of all, I grew up with a man's man. You don't express, you don't cry, you don't do any of that.
You don't bottom.
You don't bottom. I still to this day don't understand how my father knew the difference between the top and the bottom.
See, that makes me want to talk to your dad.
Even when
Daddy.
See at the bathhouse.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't want to get into that because I don't want to know his stuff. I already know way too much of his stuff as is. I don't want to. But yeah, I think that entailed there's the rub.
Yeah.
I'm realizing that even though we have Gen X in common, it's the way we were all raised.
Oh, it's all very different. Like,
It's
because my
all very
parents
different.
were, the way that they did things, like one of the love languages I never got growing up was words of affirmation. It was just expected. Like, I knew my parents loved me. They didn't have to tell me they loved me. I knew they loved me. They showed up to everything. They supported me in every crazy fucking thing I ever wanted to do. They're like, okay, but just do it well. Do your best. That was always the thing. Do your best. And in everything you do your best. That was the work ethic that they instilled in me, was just do your best. And I succeeded a lot because they believed that I could. And then I look at a lot of my friends growing up that didn't, and people that are in my age group that talk about their dreams but never chase them. And that's the biggest difference. Their parents didn't encourage them or support them. They forced them into places. As opposed to saying, okay, just do your best, and accepting whatever their best may be.
Yep, that's true. That is true.
And that is something that my parents absolutely got right. They absolutely nailed that. I have no shortage of self-confidence at all. And also because of that, I don't need other people to tell me what they think about me. What you think about me, you'll show me. You'll show me. I'll see it.
So, Steel Penis, how long have you been?
I swear to God.
How long have you been doing? Well, I mean, steel, hard, penis. You know,
Yeah.
I'm already there.
Yeah.
I'm surprised I haven't put Silver Steele. Let me look. What will I be watching this evening?
Is it awkward for you? Because when fans come up to me, I feel incredibly awkward.
Oh,
when
no,
they're,
I love it.
Oh, you love it?
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so
When did you start your porn?
My first studio scene, it was actually 4 scenes in one weekend, was March of 18. So I'm closing out on about 6 years now. I've done about 80 scenes, I guess, 80 movies, and more live performances that I can count. I get booked still for gigs and stuff everywhere, and like I'm already booked months out this year for stuff. So, but really, what happened? It all kind of happened by accident. I was in Germany for Folsom. They have a Folsom in Europe, a big fetish festival, and somebody like came up to me. I was wearing a jockstrap in the middle of the street, and they were like, hey, you've got a beautiful butt. Can I eat your ass? so I went over and they were doing it. People looking around, having their phones up, recording it. And I was just kind of like, you know, woo, having fun this weekend. And then while I'm still in Germany, 24 hours later, I'm getting texts from friends. Oh my gosh, your video on Tumblr is so hot. And I'm like, didn't have a Twitter, didn't have a Tumblr. I'm like, what video? Send me a link and I open it, I'm like, oh my God. But then underneath I see like how many retweets and likes it had, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cute. I didn't mention this before, but I actually used to be a school teacher. I taught science in high school.
Okay, that's dope.
Right.
You just got hotter.
My degree's biology.
That's even hotter, y'all. He's intelligent, kind, and phenomenally good looking.
So, but by this time, I'd actually left education. I went into oil and gas, and I was in IT, so I was behind a computer screen all day. So I was like, why the hell not? You know?
Well,
yeah.
And then it all. I just was going to kind of dip my toe in the water and kind of see how it went. It snowballed into this way bigger thing than I ever expected. Yeah. And it's one of the most amazing job I've ever had in my life.
It's awesome.
I love it.
You know, when you told me that you were going to have a porn star on, you know, the first thing I thought of, there's a gentleman on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. And he is from Houston, and he used to be a lawyer, and now he's
You're talking
doing
about Ryan St. Michael.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Very
and very Southern. He's a very Southern gentleman.
He has this great little sounds like almost like an Alabama.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm scrolling through Twitter, and there he was, and he's just telling his little story about how he was a lawyer for years, and he got into porn, doing this and that. And I'm like, he went from being a lawyer to a porn star?
The fact that
Walker was a lawyer.
stars.
Oh, I know everyone. I'm convinced.
Sweetie, gay porn has been my entire life. You know, I am not a married man. You know, I have needs.
Right.
I don't get out as much. So, I know all my...
We do the crazy stuff on camera.
Yeah.
You always wish you could do,
Well,
yeah.
I'm very vanilla.
Oh, really?
I'm very vanilla when it comes to gay porn. I'm very vanilla.
Really?
I really am.
I want to see what your search engine
the
is.
wildest, to me, the wildest thing, what is the wildest thing that maybe outdoor, that kind of stuff, but I'm not.
Oh my God.
You get a
No.
phone call in the middle of your porn. Do you pause your porn?
Depends who's calling.
Okay, first of all, if you're calling me,
Ignore.
yeah, I'm just gonna say, you know what? Send it in a text.
I saw this meme once that said, "I paused my porn for you. Don't you ever question my lyrics."
Oh my God, that's hilarious. No, I just ignore everybody's phone calls anyway. Don't call me, please. Don't call me unless there's a problem. If there's a problem, call me. But if there's not, just in general, leave me alone.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk to you.
Well,
But you guys are so openly out about your porn.
you know what? I don't feel
mine's
any
so
need
depraved.
to be. I don't feel any at this age. I don't feel any need to be ashamed of nothing.
I'm all about gangbangs.
I have lived in shame for years. I don't have any.
That's it. You know that my biggest award in porn, the biggest one, what's called a Grabby, and it's kind of like the Emmys of porn. They do it up in Chicago every year. Is I won for best group sex scene.
Did you really?
I was gangbanged.
See, I know that you've won like best ass eater
4 years in a row.
several years in a row. Yeah. So
That's what big award is. I was gangbanged by 24.
Right?
holy
I know.
Guys.
The
Did that hurt?
conversation in and of itself.
That's why I love him on a podcast.
I know you want for best.
Okay, hold on. No,
No, my
because
big award is for getting gangbanged by 24 guys.
I can't even. My ass would be so sore.
It was.
Oh my God, I would be preparation H and everything.
And the good part is I actually wore a top. But they asked me to be the bottom for this, and I just knew the value of the video. and I
Is
was
porn
like, of course.
enjoyable or is
Oh,
it
I love
a
it.
job?
Yeah. No.
Do you get sexual pleasure?
Oh, 100%.
Oh, okay.
You see the guys I'm filming with? Yes.
Well, you know
You
what?
do have some hot co-stars. You do.
Well, you know what? It's approaching that time.
It is.
We're gonna have to shut it.
Wah,
Wah,
We just
wah,
getting into
wah.
it.
I know. Okay, but I do want to ask.
But we've been.
do want to ask one question because I really wanted to ask this. I want to ask this on every single episode that we're doing on this. Who was your celebrity crush?
At what point? Like during
When
my
you,
teenage years?
it doesn't
or-
matter.
Oh.
Who was the biggest one for you?
Oh
It has to
God!
be
So I am not.
somewhere in there.
I've never been gaga over celebrities except for just a few here and there. And okay, when I was a little kid, it was Lion-O from Thundercats, and then who I was for
I knew
Halloween
that
past
about
year.
you. I knew that about you.
I know. Parents always worry about their kids be playing with My Little Pony, make their kid gay. I'm like, have you seen 80s cartoons? It's the boys. Anyway, then going into my teenage years, 98 Degrees, Nick Lachey. Oh
yeah?
And then it became Julian McMahon on Charmed, and now it's Henry Cavill.
Oh, Henry Cavill, I understand. Mine has never changed. It's Jeff Goldblum.
Oh, I mean,
Hands down,
Yeah.
all the way. And then for my girl crush, oh my God. Okay, so she was the...
Sandra Bullock.
No. She was the redhead on Mad Men. Christine, what's her last name? I think she's so stunning. Oh my God, she's so beautiful.
Who is this?
She was the main secretary in Mad Men. And she curvy.
Christina Hendricks.
Yes, Christina Hendricks. Thank you. Yes. God, she's stunning. I don't know what it is about her, but woo.
I love me a ginger.
Yeah. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. What about you? Teenage crush.
You know, I don't think I had one.
That doesn't surprise me.
That doesn't surprise me. I didn't have. You gotta understand. Just the environment I grew up in. We were in church 7 days a week.
Right.
We're not allowed to even play secular music. We're sneaking to watch MTV. That's my thrill.
Stepmother number number 3 was super Baptist. So for about 5 years, I knew nothing
That's
of.
stepmother number 3.
Yeah, stepmother number 3. I knew nothing of the secular world from 1979 to 1984. 4, I think.
Goodness.
So I knew nothing of music. I knew nothing of what was going
a bunch
on.
of the stuff that my fellow classmates did, because
my friends went to concerts. So it was like, no.
See, I missed out on a lot of that because, one, I was so busy. I was too over involved in everything. But second, like, I lived in the country. We didn't even have cable. It wasn't available where I lived. Like, there were no cable lines. So I didn't have MTV.
Oh, by the time
I didn't have Nickelodeon. I didn't have any of those things. So I never watched TV. And now to this day, I don't watch TV.
By the time,
I probably wouldn't have had a celebrity crush. My parents literally told me I was the most nonchalant child about everything. Like, just literally unbothered. Everything. Exactly. And then my parents said by the time I got 14, like, no matter, the answer to every question was, they'll be okay. They'll be okay. They'll be fine. You'll be okay. It's all right. I
think that's still your motto.
It's terrible, boring means with you. They'll be okay. Don't worry. It'll be okay.
I had a poster. Now, the setup we were 4 boys in one room, so we all had bunk beds. So I'm top bunk. So literally and figuratively, I had a poster of Billy Idol in tight leather pants and a leather jacket with no shirt on, right there above my bed.
Was he doing a sneer?
Yeah, he was laying back doing the sneer. And the moment I hung it up over my bed, my dad went, "Why do you always have white people hanging over? Why do last week it was Duran? This week it's Billy Idol. Who's it gonna be next week?" Well, I mean, I looked him in the face. I said, "Well, you do remember that you had a crush on Boy George, thinking that was a woman, right?" You remember this conversation.
Come on.
Good Morning America. I remember it because we were walking out. I was going to school. George Michael was on Good Morning America. Not George Michael. I'm sorry. What am I saying? Not Boy George was on Good Morning America. And I remember my dad, keys in hand, getting ready to take us in school. And he goes, "That is the best looking woman I have ever seen." And I laughed so hard. I said, "Okay, Dad. No problem, Dad." And I had to explain to him in the car that Boy George is not a woman, but a man. And he's like, "Well, she's wearing makeup." No, still a man.
That's so funny.
But he looks like still a man.
Yep.
I promise you.
I want to finish on this note because we do need to get moving. I love that one of the changes I've seen happen throughout my lifetime was dads telling boys that boys don't wear makeup to having a male cover girl.
Oh, right.
That made my whole life.
Yeah.
And I don't care if he's been problematic. I don't care. That was a defining moment for equality in the sexes for me. I thought that was phenomenal. So anyway, where we're headed, I don't know. But how far we've come, I'm happy. But we still have a long way to go.
We still have a long way to go.
Way to go.
But you know what? I have enjoyed the ride. Now, I grew up during the AIDS crisis, so I didn't come out until I was 24, and I actually wanted to come out when I was 16, but stepmother number 5 made a comment about the fact that when AIDS was first happening, her words were, "Good, all those queers will die." I was just about to come, and I turned around and went, "Nope, not today."
I would have been like, "Then today is perfect."
Not today. So, yeah. Man. So we're going to end on that note.
All right. Good high note to end on. I really want to thank our guests. Thank you, Kendra Walker, for coming back on the show. I love it when you're on here. I love your perspective. And Silver Steele, you sexy bitch.
Had a great time.
You know what? I want Silver Steele and Martin on the same episode. We have
fun.
Silver. Oh my God.
It would be fun.
Bring a stripper for the ladies.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
But you're a lady into ladies. Do you want us to bring a lady stripper?
Yes.
Yeah.
To be what? You didn't even tell us who your
her parties.
You still haven't told us who your celebrity crush was. Don't you even have one?
I have to have a celebrity crush to appreciate strippers. Like, let's be real.
Dude, like literally.
Do you not know? You don't know me.
He doesn't know.
No.
He doesn't know. He doesn't know. No. So just if you ever go look at her page and look at the events that she throws, you will understand.
I I already understand that she's a player. I already understand it. I already know she's a player. She's a player.
Not a player.
You are a player.
He has an appreciation for the female.
You do.
Okay.
You're a player.
Do you get that from me?
Yes, I do. I get it very heavy. You got this stud
What?
player thing going on. Hey, I'm an entrepreneur. I got all these businesses, girl. I can take care of you.
Just because she's a boss.
Blah, 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 blah.
That's where you got the game fucked up. Because I don't keep women. No, ma'am. I ain't take care of you. Hey, did you not know who my daddy is? No, ma'am. No. See, we was vibing till you hit that note. If you want to be kept, I am not the girl for you. Me and my baby, we both go to work.
That's always my thing. I'm like, I need a partner, not a child. I don't need another. I've raised 3 kids. I don't need another one, especially if he's 40.
And I don't.
And occasionally, I just need dick. Occasionally,
We all need some dick.
well, just occasionally, not every now and then. That
I don't need dick.
okay. every now and then, but
More for us.
thank you, Steele, for thank you, Hard Steel, for being on here.
He's never gonna say.
I know I'm gonna use every put I can get. And thank you, President of Pride,
Oh, wow.
Kendra Walker.
Let's not be President of Pride. Kendra from Jackson, Mississippi. Let's go with
Kendra Walker from Jackson, Mississippi.
Yeah.
Thank you for being on our show today.
And I'm sorry.
On our next episode, we're going to have millennials on the next episode, and I can't wait for that one.
It's going to be a fun one.
I already knew that Gen X was going to be interesting, and this was probably, first of all, this was longer than the Boomer episode. And I told her, this was going to be longer than any other conversation that we had, because I already knew. I already knew. So I cannot wait until we have millennials on next. Because I'm sure that's going to be interesting. I'm sure that's going to be a lot of yelling. I feel like I'm going to get yelled at by millennials.
You think so? I don't think so.
I feel like
Don't
it.
give your opinion.
Oh, no, that's not going to happen. I'm Gen X. I'm going to give my opinion all the time. Are you?
Give opinions.
Hello, that's all we've done all these
sharing, right?
Okay, let's just be real. Gen X doesn't give their opinion until you put us in it. Don't ask us for shit. Don't ask us for advice.
Don't start none, won't be nothing.
Don't start none, won't be none. Because when you ask us for any of those things, you about to get all the opinions.
Yeah, exactly.
All of them.
Well, I'm sure that's going to be fun. That is going to be fun.
Yeah, it will be. So we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, exactly.
I love minding my business.
Oh, Lord. We out.
No, we're not.
We out. I'm so tired of you, girl. Bye.